welcome to another Daily Digest video. I am Merriam, and today I am playing a hybrid deck. This one combines the black-red DredgeVine deck that we've seen pop up recently with Hollow One. A lot of the pieces do interact well together, like all the red enablers. They're both faithless looting decks in general, but one goes towards sacrifice outlets and bridges. One has some non-graveyard elements in Hollow One. So we're sort of taking the Hollow Ones, which are the most explosive aspect of that deck, and sort of fitting them into more of the DredgeVine deck, which then includes Burning Inquiry as another enabler. Not really sure how it's going to go. There's definitely some strain here in trying to fit all the pieces and get them all in reasonable proportions, but I think if you can get a hybrid like this to work, it will be better than either of the other two decks individually, so there is a payoff there. This hand is super interesting, because if we draw like a faithless looting or a just anything good in the first couple turns, it could be great. But if we don't draw one of those red cards or a bunch of street wraiths, this hand is pretty bad. Like I could end up just cycling a Hollow One on turn 2, but I think I'm very likely to, like, at the very least, play like Neonate, discard DredgeVine, play Hollow One, return it on turn 3. And that's a reasonable floor to me. It's not a great floor, but it's a reasonable one. And with the ceiling that this hand has, I think I'm going to go for it. Because I'm also on the draw, I believe. Yeah. Opponent mulligan to 6. If I brick on my first draw, I think I'm actually going to play land go and hold the Neonate so that I can potentially DredgeVine on turn 2 with a Street Wraith, something like that. They keep 6 right at the top, so we are off. If they Thoughtseize our Neonate on turn 1, we're in really rough shape. That is not a good draw, so I am going to do what I mentioned earlier and not play this Neonate on turn 1. We'll see how it goes. The real question is, if I brick off next turn, do I go for the Neonate? I think I do, discarding a DredgeVine and hope to draw either Faithless Looting, Burning Inquiry, or Street Wraith. Because there's only so long that you can avoid doing stuff. Is this a mirror? Mardu? Oh, they're just trying to duress me? Well, good luck with that. Looks like our opponent is Mardu. No spells here, buddy. Just mulliganing to 5. I suppose they did get to see my hand. That's worth something. If we've learned anything from the Gataxian Probe ban. Okay, Viscera Seer. So now we have guaranteed DredgeVine. So let's get one of those back. Someone. Okay. Definitely discard a DredgeVine. Let's pop up these graveyards. Walking Ballista. Not the best. And get a 4-3. The Viscera Seer will at least help us scry a little. Probably going to end up cycling one of these Hollow Ones. We did not draw particularly well, but our opponent's draw is also very mediocre, and our deck should be good against them. Okay. I have to imagine DredgeVine is quite good. Unless they can get, unless they can get Pyromancer going. But I did just draw Ballista, so I actually have an answer to that, which is neat. Ooh, and Hangerback should even be good against them. So let's show them the bad news. Looks like so far I didn't have enough ways to get cards in my graveyard. Though I'm not sure that's a problem with the list. That is the risk of the hand I kept. I just wanted to draw another one and didn't. But let's deal with this Pyromancer. I also noted that the Hollow Ones were probably unnecessary this game and actually made our hand worse. Like, if these were other cards from the black-red deck, we probably would have had a more explosive hand. And if we had drawn perfectly, we would have just had a million 4/4s and probably just overkilled them by a fair amount. Oh, I shouldn't be auto-yield F6 on their turn when I have Viscera Seer. Discard Bedlam Reveler Brutality. Usually the Bedlam Reveler discard is a sign they have another copy, though here they're a little behind the gun. So they may just need to keep removal in their hand and hope to draw one of those later. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I'm assuming I Inquiry now. See if I can get this other Vengevine back. Or get the bridge in my yard. Okay. So we did discard the Vengevine. We did not discard the bridge. We discarded one of our hollow ones. And then a looting we also found. But that's fine. We get to cast a hollow one and then cast a Hangerback on one and return the Vengevine. And done. And Hangerback on one should still be good as well. Yeah, opponent just... This is 9 points actually, just straight up, so if they don't have a Fatal Push, they're dead. They discarded a Bolt, which they couldn't cast. So, opponent's draw there was pretty lackluster. Mine was fine. I mean, I guess I did kill them on, what, turn 5? No, turn 4. Because I brought back the first Vengevine on turn 2. So, you know, turn 4 kill is not too shabby. I'm going to assume that our opponent is playing Anger of the Gods in their sideboard, so I probably want this Gargadon. I wonder how good Driven to Despair is. They're going to be good at mucking up the ground with chump blockers, and so Menace will help get through. And we could just like strip the last couple of cards in their hand. It makes it hard for them to set up the Bedlam Reveler. I kind of want to try it. Question is, what do I cut? I'm assuming Bushwhacker is probably one of the worst cards because they have a bunch of blockers, so they can blunt it. I am also willing to cut at least one of these artifact creatures. Even though I like Hangerback in general in the matchup, I think having an answer to Young Pyromancer is pretty important. It's definitely one of their ways to take over a game early, especially if we leyline them against Bedlam Reveler. Maybe with leylines, this card isn't very good. Yeah, I'm not going to bring it in. I don't want to cut very far into the fabric of the deck because there's a lot of moving parts here. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to cut another Hangerback Walker. I think these are generally the worst cards in the deck, and most lists have too many of them. 5 is probably a fine number. Okay. Another slow hand that doesn't really have any way to get cards in the graveyard. This one doesn't really draw as well as the other one either. It doesn't have Vengevines and Hollow Ones, so I'm going to mulligan this one because the upside just isn't there. This hand just doesn't do anything. This hand's not great, but we do have the potential to go off with a bridge, so... Okay, definitely don't need another bridge. Hopefully I don't get leylined. Okay, did not get leylined. I got Nile spellbombed though. That's a problem. I am going to try to force them to pop this right now so they don't get the card off of it, which means getting a Blood Crypt and going straight for this Neonate. So if you discard Bridge off of Neonate, because the discard is the first part of the cost, then you will get a token. Though Bridge has an intervening if clause, so if they use the Spellbomb now with this trigger on the stack, I will not get a token. But yeah, as expected, they are fine giving me a 2/2 here. I'm going to hold on to this Ballista in case they play Pyromancer next turn. And okay, another Neonate. They will almost assuredly use the Nile Spellbomb then if I try to make 2 zombies for the price of the Neonate. But at some point they're going to pop it. I do want to try to leave myself with something in reserve, but on a mulligan to 5, that is hard to do. Kind of hoping that they just Pyromancer and I get to Ballista it and see if they pop the Spellbomb then. No, just eluding. Maybe leaving that swamp up. I am not going to be playing around Blood Moon here, by the way. I assume that that card is out of their deck. I'm not even sure this list has a swamp in it. It does not, so couldn't even if I wanted to. They discard Brutality, Lingering Souls there. Yeah, it looks like not doing anything. That Lingering Souls at the very least trade for the zombie token, though Ballista helps. Ooh. Well, that is awkward. Because I don't want to go committing right now because they have mana up to draw a card off the Spellbomb. So I'm actually just going to play land Neonate and pass. And go from there. Really going to try to small ball them here. Ooh. Well then. Pretty happy to see this in response. This is a weird timing for them. I guess they just really wanted to use the mana here. But now I get to... Should I sack first? I should probably sack first. I could end up with more zombies if I looting into another bridge. But this gives me more options from what to discard with Faithless Looting. And I'd rather have more options than the upside with only 2 other bridges left in my deck. So it gives me a higher chance of getting a DredgeVine into play right now, too. Ooh. Do I looting or Stitcher Supplier now? Kind of want a Supplier just to stack my graveyard, though if I also kind of want to save creatures for when I eventually get DredgeVines in there. Playing Supplier now also lets me draw another card before I cast the looting, which gives me more options off of it. Yeah, I think I'll supply. Milled a Hollow One and another Stitcher Supplier. Man, I guess if I had looting, I would have drawn into that Hollow One, which is kind of cool. That is the upside, another upside of looting that I missed. Because I did discard from Neonate, so even tapping out for it would have let me cast a Hollow One. Probably would have ended up discarding one of the suppliers. Maybe, but actually, probably would have ended up discarding both of them and keeping the Ballista. I don't really know. We are in an awkward spot where when those spirits die, our bridge will get removed. So I guess we should... I'm wondering if I should just Ballista kill my Stitcher Supplier and keep just milling before casting this looting still. I think if they had a young Pyromancer, they would have cast it by now. This is kind of a weak play from them that their turn 3 was only Flashback Lingering Souls. Tells me they don't have a discard spell. Their hand is probably pretty removal heavy, which means they're going to be pretty happy to get bridges out of my graveyard. The Ballista play will put 3 more cards in my yard and make 2 more zombies. I do kind of want to just overrun them with zombies if their hand is pretty removal heavy. and doesn't have a Pyromancer. They're ways away from casting a Bedlam Reveler too. So I think zombies are good against their hand. So let's go for it. We could see them use a removal spell on their own spirit to prevent me from getting zombies. That would be an interesting line from them. Looks like that is not in their plan. Okay. Make sure to stack that. I want to stack them like this, so if they want to stop this bridge trigger, they won't exile any bridges the supplier mills over. But if they weren't going to do it before, they're not going to do it then. So we mill an Inquiry, a Stitcher Supplier, and an Insolent Neonate, so nothing of note. Still no Vengevines. And now I will attack. Maybe I should wait on this attack. Next turn I get to make the same attack, but deal more damage before trading away a zombie. But what are they going to do in the meantime? Probably just cast some removal spells. So yeah, let's attack. Yep, unsurprising double block. This will bring them to 13. We got a bolt. Okay, so they're not taking any damage. But spot removal is something that our hand is pretty good against. Yeah. Still have 2 zombies here. Well, they do have 5 cards. I think this Faithless Looting is going to have to be good. I don't feel like we're in a great spot. The mulligan to 5 definitely hurt. And it definitely makes Faithless Looting significantly worse. But we've been fortunate to stay here on 2 lands and draw a good amount of gas. Okay. They have 3 spells in there, so if they play some more removal, they can Reveler next turn. That is a card that can easily get discarded. So I don't think Street Wraith, a random card off this, is worth more than keeping the hanger back around, so I'll just discard the Street Wraith in the ley line. And then attack for 4. We'll play the Hollow One post-combat. And see if they indeed get to play Bedlam Reveler next turn, which would be quite good. Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, well, I think Hollow One is better than Hangerback Walker. So I will discard the Hangerback. Colgan's command was good there. Just anything to reduce our resources after that mulligan to 5. We're operating on so little right now. I do get to cast Hollow One for free though, so joke's on them. This does bring them now to 4 spells in the graveyard. So they can cast Bedlam Reveler, though they would not be gaining much card advantage off of it. I imagine they will spend this next turn killing our remaining stuff. Another K command would be devastating, just wrath our board. What do you have? Hopefully just a bunch of useless removal. Okay, land 5, happy to see that. Hopefully they have some discard spells in their hand. Oh, there goes the Hollow One. Is this Dreadbore into Bedlam Reveler here? And draw 2 cards. Discard 1, draw 3, technically, but... Ugh. Surgical my Faithless Looting. And now play a 2-mana Bedlam Reveler. Yeah, that was close to the worst case scenario. And now we are quite dead. Just have a 2/2 against this. Oh, they did forget to take the Faithless Looting that was in my graveyard. A classic Magic Online mistake when playing with Surgical Extraction. Gotta click the one in the graveyard. So I'll get to looting next turn. That's kind of cool. Oh, Fatal Push my zombie token. Must be using their mana next turn if they're willing to use that one on end step and miss out on the Prowess trigger, but at this point it probably doesn't make a difference. Could be a second Reveler coming. Young Pyromancer, also unbeatable. See what they discard here. So they have Surgicals and Nile Spell Bombs as their graveyard hate. Probably no Ley Lines at that point, which is somewhat good news. Ooh, they left in a Blood Moon. That is surprising. It's not even good here when I don't have basic Swamp. So, pretty dead. We'll cast a Faithless Looting and probably not on tap. Excuse me. Opponent has... That's not quite good enough. But I don't think I need lands that enter the battlefield tapped. Any Lightning Bolt and we're dead. K-Command and we're dead. Ooh, another Reveler. Wow, they left in 2 Blood Moons. What are they bringing out? Just a spot removal? But they have Fatal Put. They have one of all the different spot removal spells, it seems like. I don't really know. It's kind of a sign that they don't have Anger of the Gods, right? If they brought in some graveyard hate, still have a lot of removal in, and still have Blood Moons. I guess that they probably brought out discard spells. We haven't seen any of those from them, which makes some sense. I empty my hand really quickly. And a lot of my cards want to go to the graveyard anyway. Stuff like that. So I guess that's where they are. And this Walking Ballista is not nearly good enough. So on to game 3. So if I don't think that they have Anger, I probably don't need Gargadon. In which case, I rather want to try out this Driven to Despair. So let's try that one. Hopefully we have an opening hand with some of these red cards. Or this one. Wouldn't that be nice? I would like to play first. Ugh. Yet another hand without a way to put cards in the graveyard. What is the upside of this hand? I mean, we really need to draw one of them to get this Vengevine in the yard to do anything, right? I think this has to be a mulligan. Okay. Well, this hand does some things. We can have a turn 1 Hollow One. So definitely keeping this one. Yeah, I'll keep the Vengevine on top in the hopes of discarding them, right? could. The problem is, like, they could end up being stranded in my hand, especially if this neonate doesn't cooperate. I wonder if I'm supposed to go turn 1 neonate just to guarantee get it into play, and then inquiry next turn, but that just goes against what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to have 4 cards in my hand when I cast inquiry, so 7 after I draw. I discard 3 of them. 2 of them are Vengevines. The odds of me discarding 0 Vengevines, I would be. Ugh, that's how I can't do that sitting right here. Huh. Actually, I wonder if I'm actually just supposed to go land to go, and then neonate into inquiry, and if I keep the hollow one, I can return all the Vengevines. I'm going to go for the highest upside play, and that's topping this, starting on land go. This gives me... If I draw into another 1-mana creature, I still get the Vengevines back. Yeah, I like this. I think my opponent's low on discard spells in their deck, so they're unlikely to have one turn 1 to break this up. Of course, now that I said that, I've probably jinxed myself. No? Okay. That's cool. Do I need to play the land, too? Yeah, I kind of want to play the land. Because we definitely need a land. Okay, get another Blood Crypt. Play an Insolent Neonate. Could also sack this Neonate now, and if I draw like Street Wraith, I can guarantee play the Hollow One, but I'd rather be able to sculpt my hand post-inquiry. Is that good? Is it? Can't tell. Was that good? Is that what I wanted? RN Jesus, taking good care of me. And we now have it all. Just casual 13 power on turn 2. 8 of it attacking, so goldfishing a turn 3 win here. Looks like one of these Vengevines is getting bolted. Or fatal pushed, I guess. Whichever. Lightning bolted, okay. I'll take 4, please. And do I cycle the Street Wraith now, digging for another Hollow One? Because I don't think I want to sack the Neonate until next turn, which means it's only beneficial if Hollow One is the exact top card of my deck. Whereas next turn, if I do both Street Wraith and Neonate, Hollow One will only cost 1, so they're more castable when I find them later. I think I'm just going to hold it. They're going to have a pretty strong start. That doesn't seem like it's going to be good enough. Especially if I can bring back this Vengevine here. That is not good. Let's start off with a Street Wraith. Ooh, another Inquiry. I guess I should have looked at what they discarded. It was Brutality, Mountain, EE. Yeah, definitely casting this Inquiry with 2 bad cards in my hand. We drew 2 more Ley Lines and a Neonate and discarded those 3. So hand unchanged, which means we have no chance of rebuying this Vengevine this turn. Opponent discarded Lingering Souls, Kolaghan's Command, Rabblemaster. Lingering Souls discard is annoying. Maybe I'm supposed to cut down on these in this matchup, but I don't know. You just need so many of those cards to make your deck work. So we're definitely attacking. I assume they will take 9 here and try to stabilize this Pyromancer. This unit seems valuable just as an attacker at this point, unless I have a chance of returning Vengevines. The Menace makes it awkward to block. They're at 4. Probably going to have to take a little more damage off lands. Maybe they go tap land, flashback souls next turn because of my inquiry. Could also just try to draw forth, like play Foothills and draw a land and cast the Leyline next turn, but that seems weak. I mean, they're only on, I guess they're on 4 spells in their graveyard, but if they flashback the souls, they'll be back down to 3. So they're a ways away from Reveling. And I have a good board to attack into Reveler with Vengevines and Hollow One. So I think I'm just going to pass. Okay. Maybe I undersold doing Pyromancer when they played it on turn 2. But, you know, like had I found some more creatures and been able to return that Vengevine, I may have been attacking them to 1. Which then makes Pyromancer pretty tough to leverage. But we'll see. This is now the desperately try to close the game out stage, because our opponent is on a lot more resources than us. And they're definitely planning it out because they know these next 2 turns are pretty critical. If this game goes 3 more turns, I think they're a pretty heavy favorite. Though I could just finish them off with like a Ballista. If they just souls here, they're going to make 3 chump blockers. You can probably just chump the 2 big ones and take the Neonate attack. Leave themselves another chump blocker for the following turn. I don't think they'd be worried about Lightning Bolt. At least I wouldn't be, given how many moving parts are in this deck. The normal Vengevine decks don't even play Lightning Bolt. They can't even fit it. This deck definitely can't. Okay, buddy. Let's make a play here. I guess they are over 2 minutes ahead on their clock, so I shouldn't be complaining. I do like that the Kolaghan's Command got discarded. That is a card that helps them catch up against Hollow One. Okay, well, after all that tanking, we're on the Lingering Souls plan. What do we get? Do we have a 3rd land? We do. And one that doesn't deal them any damage, so good on them. Okay, Faithless Looting is a good draw. Let us filter these bad cards away. And that is 2 creatures, so am I willing to throw away the potential of Ballista dealing some damage to get back the Vengevine this turn? I don't really see what my other options would be. In order to Ballista for 1 plus Neonate, I would need to draw a 3rd land next turn. I don't really want to bank on that. Shame I do not have a Bridge from Below yet. But I do think I just need to put a ton of pressure on my opponent. So let's play Neonate. Play Ballista for 0. And get another lethal attacker in here. And this effectively will kill a 1/1 right. Like they're forced to block something else this turn. Which is about as good as the 1/1 Ballista would be. Can F6 because I don't have a card to discard to Neonate. But that was definitely a good draw. Now our opponent is under a lot of pressure. I assume they have some other removal spell here, but if it's a Fatal Push, that gets awkward. Okay, got the 3 chump blocks. That's good. Another 3, and I have 2 Neonates. Anger of the Gods would be unbeatable, but can't beat everything. Opponent is messaging me a bunch. GG. Looks like they don't have much of anything in their 6-card hand. And a concession. Okay, well, if our opponent had some extra removal there or just cheap spells, but they don't have a ton of cheap spells that they play proactively except for the removal and the discard. And the discard was dead there, and they're really just treading water with the 1/1s. They needed cards that would help them gain some traction. They really didn't have that. Maybe some like EOT, deal with Vengevines, untap Nihil Spellbomb you. They never really set that up. And I was able to overload the Pyromancer pretty quickly, but very fortunate there off that first Burning Inquiry to discard both Vengevines while also keeping the Hollow One in hand. So just able to do everything. Not sure if I played everything exactly right by the book there, but I like how I sequenced those first 2 turns. I think I gave myself the most odds of doing something really good on turn 2, which is really what you're trying to do. I could have gone for something really explosive on turn 1. If I draw into a second Hollow One, discard some Vengevines and get it all back, I get Magical Christmas Land. But I still had to get lucky to do what I did on turn 2. So I think sort of taking a little off and being a little bit more safe there was prudent. Not sure how well the 2 decks mix after playing a match with it. I think there's a lot of dyssynergy there. Like it's hard to both enable Hollow One and enable Vengevine. The Hollow One deck is really just trying to discard as much as possible. That's why you have Flameblade Adept, like more ways to make the random discard cards better. Whereas the Vengevine deck really needs to get the specific cards, the bridges and the Vengevines in the graveyard for it to work. So you're going to have a lot lower of a floor with the random discards. I don't know if something like Cathartic Reunion would be better. Only discarding 2 isn't great with Hollow One, especially for 2 mana, but that's something to look towards. Maybe is better, but there's definite challenges there in getting the 2 decks to work together. But if you can get it to work, I think the potential is there. And even with some awkwardness in our draws there, we were able to take down that match, albeit in 3 games. So hope you enjoyed watching that one, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.